So a few days ago, I did a video on Arkansas wanting to execute a number of men within a certain amount of days. Well, last night they executed Ledell Lee with one of 8 of those men. Lee, 51, is administered the lethal injection at 11:44 p.m. on Thursday, and he was pronounced dead 12 minutes later. His execution was Arkansas's first since 2005. The state had planned to execute 8 inmates over 10 days starting April 17th, saying its lethal injection drugs were to expire at the end of the month. 4 men have received stays for various reasons. Attorneys for the 8 men attempted to block the executions, including using the argument that midazolam, the drug used to make inmates unconscious before 2 more drugs paralyze them and kill them, it does not effectively prevent a painful death. My question is, why does it not have to be painful? First of all, these men are on death row because they killed someone, causing eternal pain for their family members. The second drug, pancuronium bromide, paralyzes the inmate. The third, potassium chloride, brings on cardiac arrest and stops the heart. I feel like these people who are killing other people for no reason should sense a bit of pain. Unless the prisoner is unconscious, then drugs 2 and 3 will cause pain, torturous punishment, in violation of the Eighth Amendment and state guarantees against cruel and unusual punishment. I feel like that should be knocked to the side depending on the crime. The lawyers have also fought the state's decision to conduct a series of executions in a short time frame, which the state has said is because its lethal injection drugs will expire at the end of the month. No state has ever conducted 8 executions over an 11-day period. One of the drug companies was granted a restraining order after arguing in court that their drug wasn't supposed to be used for capital punishment. McKesson Medical Surgical Incorporated argued its vicurinium bromide was intended only for medical purposes, not executions, and that the Arkansas Department of Corrections misled the company when it purchased the drug, according to a brief. My thing is, if they're that concerned about whether or not something is going to be pain free or whether or not the prisoner is going to suffer, then why don't you just go back to lining them up and shooting them? Or use a damn guillotine, something that's quick and easy, because for it to take this man 12 minutes to die, of course he suffered in some way. Granted, like I said, that I don't feel like that matters. Like, you killed somebody for no reason. The Arkansas Department of Correction personnel used an existing medical license, which is to be used only to order products with legitimate medical uses, and an irregular ordering process to obtain the vicurinium via phone order with a McKesson salesperson. The Arkansas Supreme Court later reversed the restraining order. 2 other inmates, Jack Harold Jones and Marcel W. Williams, both sentenced to death for capital murder, are scheduled to be executed Monday. 31 states currently administer the death penalty, and lethal injection is the primary means of execution in all of them. The number of executions carried out in the United States fell to a 25-year low in 2016. Here's my thing. In order for these men to suffer, if y'all want them to suffer, give them life in prison. They will suffer severely. Lee was convicted in 1995 in the murder of Deborah Reese, 26, 2 years prior. Reese was found dead in her home in Jacksonville, Arkansas, where she had been strangled and beaten with a small wooden bat her husband gave her for protection. Now, I may have my little speculations there that the husband may have done it, but the man's already dead, so at this point it really doesn't matter. Several of Reese's neighbors saw Lee near the house and identified him to police. Before Lee's death, all executions had been put on hold in the state after a judge issued a restraining order on a key lethal injection drug. His execution followed a flurry of court rulings Thursday, capped by the U.S. Supreme Court's denial of multiple requests for stays of execution. Today is a shameful day for Arkansas, which is callously rushing the judicial process by treating human beings as though they have a sell-by date, Amnesty International said in a statement. While other states have increasingly come to the conclusion that the capital punishment system is beyond repair, Arkansas is running in the opposite direction from progress. This assembly line of executions must stop, and this cruel and inhuman punishment should be ended once and for all. Now, granted, 9 times out of 10, I, question, these rulings for, they said that he killed this woman and beat her with a bat that her husband gave her. I'm not saying that black people don't commit heinous crimes, but in this situation, cruel and inhuman punishment by lethal injection, honestly, the people who actually committed these crimes that they are convicted of, I feel like they should die a quick and easy death, or if they need to suffer, let them suffer. It's one of two options. Either let them suffer in prison for life or shoot them. I mean, y'all are sitting here worried about, how they're feeling once they're injected with this poison that's going to kill them, whether it paralyzes them. Who gives a fuck? Look at what they did. That doesn't matter. At one point on Thursday night, the United States Supreme Court briefly delayed the execution as it reviewed appeals. It then voted to allow the state to proceed with the execution. About 30 minutes after the High Court's ruling, Lee was pronounced dead. Just before Lee was put to death, prison officials at the Cummins unit asked him twice for his final words, but he did not respond. His last meal was the Holy Communion. I really feel like in instances like this, I wonder how many of the other 7 that are left that they're going to execute and what amount of time they're going to. But one of the things, Arkansas Department of Corrections, they need to be shut down if they're sitting here obtaining drugs illegally and using them for a different purpose. Let me know what y'all think.